Wonder and Wander. This is the last episode of the season. Hey, you made it. Come on in. Pull up a chair. Before anything else tonight, I just want to say something. If you've been here for this whole season, thank you from the bottom of my heart. You sat with the weight that you carry, the loneliness that you don't talk about, the man that you thought you'd be, the beliefs that started to shift, the shame around desire, the conversations you've been avoiding, the fire in you. And that's not a small thing. Most people don't do that kind of work. You did. And if tonight is your first episode, you're welcome here too. Whenever someone finds their way to a fire, to this fire, there's a seat for them here. So let me ask you, how are you doing tonight? Not a recap, just right now, in this moment. How are you? Yeah, I get that. Okay. And a question to set us up for tonight. When you think about the road ahead, not the whole thing, just the next stretch, what do you want to be true about your walk? About how you walk it? Hold on to that. Tonight is about exactly that question. I want to start with a memory. I want to go back to my Boy Scout days, being part of Troop 208. The troop and I, we had hiked into the mountains. There's something that happens on a long climb that I'll never forget. You're grinding uphill, your legs are burning, the pack is heavy. You're not sure how much farther it's going to be. And then you reach the ridge, and you turn around. You can see the whole trail you just came up. The switchbacks, the steep sections that nearly broke you, the places you stopped to catch your breath. And something happens when you see it all laid out like that. You stand a little taller. Not because the trail was easy, but because you're here. You made it through all of it. And when you turn back around, the next stretch doesn't look quite as impossible anymore. Every journey changes a man, and that's not a platitude. It's just true. Whether you've walked with us all season, or you just found the fire tonight, you've already been on a long road. One shaped by more than you can probably name. Loss and love, failure and hope. The moments that broke you open, and the ones that built you back up. The weight you carried, the silences you've kept, the things you've let go of, and the things you couldn't. All of it is the trail behind you. And it matters. Not because you should live there, but because there's understanding that where you've come from is part of knowing where you're going. You're not the same man you once were. The road has done its work on you, and that's not a loss. It's the whole point. What you've lost has ultimately led to gains, to growth. So let me ask you something. I want you to actually go to this place. Go inside. When you think back to your life, when you look back on it, what moment changed you the most? Wow, that's powerful. That moment still lives inside you. It helped make you who you are today. And it'll keep shaping who you become. There's a natural movement that happens when you look back honestly. It turns you forward, like standing on that ridge. Once you've seen where you've been, you find yourself looking at what's ahead. And I think most men, when they get quiet enough, have a sense of who they want to become. Not in a vague, self-helpy sort of way. Something more specific than that. A father who's actually present. A man whose friends could count on. Someone who told them the truth, even when it cost him something. A person whose integrity held up under the pressure. The details are different for every man, but the longing is the same. To be genuinely the person that you want to be. Most of us spend a significant amount of life trying to grow. To be stronger, wiser, kinder, braver, more honest than we've been. And the thing that I've come to believe, after many years of work, is that becoming doesn't happen in a dramatic moment. It rarely does. It happens in choices that feel small at the time. The apology that you didn't have to give, but you did anyway. The conversation you had when staying silent would have been easier. The moment you chose honesty over comfort or presence or distraction. In relationships you tended carefully. In failures you didn't run from. In repairs you made when you could have just let things stay broken. Becoming isn't quiet. It's patient. It doesn't announce itself. But it's happening. Right now. In you. Whether you feel it or not. So let me ask you something. Who are you becoming right now? You don't have to have the whole picture right now. Just the next stretch of the trail. And that's enough. The next step is always enough. This might sound morbid, but I've been to more funerals than I can count. And one of the things that you notice, when you've been to enough of them, is the pattern in what people say about the person who's gone. Nobody talks about the job title, or the square footage of their house, or the car that they drove. They talk about how the person made them feel. Whether they were honest. Whether they showed up. Whether they were the kind that did something that cost them. People talk about character. About what the person stood for. And the particular way they move through the world that can't quite be replaced. I've stood at enough of these services to take that seriously. To think about what people would say at mine. I'll be honest. To think about that, it makes me sad sometimes. And scared. Because there are gaps between who I am and who I want to be that I'm still working on. But mostly, that thought inspires me. Because I'm still here. And that means that there's still time to be intentional about it. No one else can walk your road for you. No one else can choose your values, your integrity, your courage, your kindness. You get to decide what kind of man you want to be, what kind of legacy you want to leave. What world do you want to help build? even in your small corner. You might not change the whole world, but you can change the world that you live in. And that's not a burden. It's actually one of the most profound freedoms we have. Viktor Frankl, who we heard about earlier in the season, said that everything can be taken from a man except the last of his human freedoms, the freedom to choose how you respond to what happens to you. Your circumstances may not be yours to choose. Your history certainly wasn't. But who you become in response to it all, that's yours. It's always been yours. So let me ask you something that I want you to take seriously here. What kind of man do you want to be remembered as? If it helps you to picture people being at your funeral, go there. Hear the specific things people would say. Let that be your North Star, and you can start walking toward it today. One small step at a time. I want to close this season the way it began, at the fire. We've spent 12 episodes here, talking about things that most men don't get to talk about. That's a lot of ground that we've covered together. And I don't take it lightly that you brought yourself here for it. So here's what I want you to know as you leave this fire tonight. The fire doesn't stay behind when you go. You carry it with you. In your voice, in your choices, in the way that you show up for people in your life, in what you refuse to look away from, and what you decide to do with whatever power you have. Wherever you go after tonight, you become a part of someone else's story. Your kids are watching how you carry yourself. Your friends are shaped by whether you show up for them. The people you work alongside are affected by whether you're honest or not, present or not, courageous or not. You're already leaving a mark. The question, the one this whole season has been circling, is what kind of mark you want it to be. I want to say something personal before we go. This podcast exists because I believe men are more capable of greater depth, of more honesty, more genuine connection than the world usually asks of them. I believe that when men do this work, when they sit with the hard questions, instead of running from them, instead of turning to weaponized incompetence, we all become better fathers, better friends, better partners, better citizens. And I believe the world genuinely needs that. Not someday. Now. Before I ask you this last question of the season, I want to leave you with one more image. We've talked about the bison on our logo. I've been thinking about it a lot as we close out this season, and why it keeps staying with me. At their peak, somewhere between 30 and 60 million bison roamed the Great Plains. By the late 1800s, though, deliberate slaughter through the most total destruction the world has seen for thousands of years, fewer than 1,000 remained. Most people had written them off. But a small number of people, including members of the Lakota and other Plains nations, who had always understood what the bison meant to life on those prairies, They refused to let the story end there. They protected the remnant herds. They tended what was left. And they held the line. And the bison came back. Not to 60 million, but back. Present. Still walking the plains. I think about that when I think about men doing this kind of work. There are a lot of forces in the world that have worked and still work to reduce men to something smaller than they actually are. To replace depth with performance, connection with competition, tenderness with armor. And yet, here you are, at this fire, asking the hard questions, and facing the answers, and doing the work of becoming. That's its own kind of recovery. And it matters. Not just for you, but for every person in your circle. The bison on our logo isn't walking away from you. It's walking towards you. Coming to meet you where you are. In many ways, we become the bison. Slowly understanding its power and its potential. Running into the storm. As you leave the fire tonight, be the bison. That's what I've been trying to do this whole season. You're a part of that story, and I'm a part of yours. And that means something really special to me. So thank you for showing up, for sitting with things that weren't easy, for being willing to wonder and to wander, even when the path wasn't clear. That took something. And I don't want to close without saying that out loud. All right, one final question. The last one of the season. What do you want your life to stand for? Don't rush it. To let that breathe. Let it come to you naturally. That answer, whatever just came to mind, that's the road ahead. Walk it well. Before I let you go, I want to do something a little different for this last episode. I want to walk back through what we carried together this season. We talked about the weight that you carry, and how you were never meant to carry it alone. We talked about the loneliness that men don't say out loud, and the one move that could change it. We talked about the man you thought you'd be, the man who actually showed up to live your life. We talked about feeling behind, and how the only timeline that matters is the one that keeps you becoming. We talked about the quiet work of becoming, and the patience it requires. We talked about beliefs that shift, and the courage it takes to keep walking when the ground isn't solid. We talked about shame and desire, and what it means to be a man with a body and a heart and longings that deserve honesty. We talked about the conversations we avoid and the cost of silence. We talked about becoming agents of change and the ordinary choices that make history. We talked about fire, the fire inside of us, and what it means to tend it with wisdom instead of being ruled by it. And tonight we talked about the road ahead and the kind of man that you want to walk in this world. the man you want to be. That's a lot of fire right there. I'm grateful that we got to sit here together. All right, while the fire's burning low, carry what you need and leave what you don't. You don't have to have it all figured out. None of us do. It has been a genuine honor to be with you this season. Until we meet again, safe travels, my friend. That's all for today. Wonder and Wander is written and hosted by me, Mat Wuebben. Original music composed and performed by Calvin Armerding. If this episode meant something to you, think of one man who needs to hear it, and send it to him. And if you haven't yet, leaving a rating on Apple Podcasts helps more men find their way to the fire. Wander boldly, wander freely.